Hi, I'm Bob D'Amico, CEO and co-founder of Reveal AI. And we're doing this live chat with a leader who recently used our product in the context of customer and client research. Reveal AI is a uh, AI interview tool at scale. Essentially, our product uses AI to do interviews at scale, as well as analysis for insights and actionable intelligence. Our customers use our product in their pursuit of new customers, customer acquisition, customer research, and customer retention. Today, we've got Brian Miller with us. Brian heads up strategy and business development for BMNT. BMNT is a 10-year-old innovation consulting firm. They just had their 10-year anniversary, which is incredibly exciting. This is also incredibly exciting for myself and the team at Reveal AI because the product was incubated inside BMNT and then a year ago spun out into an independent company. And it's been an honor and a privilege for us to work with BMNT and help support their client pursuits. As I mentioned, our product is used in acquisition of new customers, customer research, customer retention. Today, Brian and I are going to talk about the research use case, in particular, how the product can be used to research the needs, opportunities, challenges of clients, and in this case, in the conceptualization of a new service or product for BM&T. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian. And Brian, if you could just start us off with an introduction of yourself and BM&T to really kind of set the stage for folks and the journey that we're going to take here over the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Sure. Thanks, Bob, and thanks to the Reveal team for setting this up and supporting us on our recent journey to figure out a new service for a particular customer segment. So, as you alluded to, BM&T is a global innovation company for governments and their partners, and I lead strategy and business development for BMNT. We exist because of a few simple premises. One, in order to make the world a better, safer place, we need transformative solutions. We exist because those solutions are hard to find, they're harder to buy, they're impossible to sustain. So we use startup methods to transform how government agencies and their partners buy or build innovative capabilities. And I came to BM&T after more than a decade in the policy world, working for US senators on national security policy and realizing that figuring out exactly what, in the case of the military, service members need, or in the case of other departments and agencies, maybe what Americans themselves need, is a lot easier said than done. And it requires a lot of it requires a lot of hard work to understand what people really need and to really appreciate their perspective, because they're rarely going to tell you exactly what they need. You really have to dig deeper and get to the source of their pain points in order to serve them in a better, different way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so given that context, yeah, how does BM&T, how do you as a head of strategy, how do you typically go about developing new services and trying to understand the emerging needs of your clients?
So for starters, we don't want to be better than the alternative, and that kind of sounds strange. Better in the services industry is often really hard to define, so it winds up defaulting to just the same. So we really aim to be different. We want to be additive. We don't want to be redundant of anybody out there, whether it's something the government's already doing for themselves or something another company's doing. Otherwise, why are we in business? So for starters, we aim to be incredibly flexible. So we can help, say, 80% of the change agents out there. These are people in government who have a theory of change. They know the status quo won't get the job done. They know what they have to do, but they don't know how to do it.
Mm,
And we're a small business. We're not a big box consulting firm with fancy slide decks and frameworks. And there's certainly a place for all that. They do great work. These are world-class companies. We're a small business, so we try to compete and make a strategic impact and be really focused on that. We seek to so therefore, why do we how do we develop our services and products? We seek
mhm,
to deeply understand our customers. By understanding them, asking a lot of questions, putting ourselves in their shoes metaphorically, we can build trust. And you can't break new ground until you deeply understand them and build trust with them so they trust you. I mean, these are particularly in the national security space where that's a preponderance of our business. These are
mhm,
no fail missions. So
mhm, mhm,
without understanding them and their mission and without building trust with them, you're not going
mhm,
to be able to break new ground. So as an example, we recently used Reveal to understand the topic of transition better. This is more than a buzzword in government parlance. And we really wanted to understand what it meant in practice. How was this challenge, this topic showing up? So that
mhm.
what we found out was there are lots of definitions.
Brian, as you go into those definitions, could you for folks that may be unfamiliar with government or unfamiliar with how you and the team are using the word transition, or maybe we're taking a 2-minute snippet of this and putting it on LinkedIn and other folks from other industries. Tell us a little bit about that word transition. What was it that got you focused on that as a potential service opportunity or a challenge that you were hearing, and then kind of what does that entail?
Yeah, so at a basic level, particularly the Department of Defense and the U.S. military, but other government agencies as well, they can stand up a lot of technology demonstrations, a lot of early stage products and projects, a lot of prototypes, if you will. But so few of those prototypes, quote unquote, transition into being an enduring capability, a multi-year program that the government invests in and delivers to end users downstream. In the military context, you can think of this like an aircraft carrier, right, is a massive platform. But on the aircraft carrier, there are systems, there are components, there are things that sailors and other service members use every day to try to deter
Mhm,
our adversaries, and God forbid we get into a conflict, defeat them.
mhm,
Um, those things on an aircraft carrier have been developed over many years and transitioned from an idea to a prototype,
mm,
eventually into a program that's invested in and sustained in some way by lots and lots of people and companies. So in the modern era, all of that has to really speed up. When it was the Cold War and we had one adversary and things were more predictable,
mhm,
ironically,
mhm,
it was okay that took 10 or 20 years.
mhm.
Today, it needs to take probably 24 months or less.
I
So
see.
that transition speed, things really get stuck.
I
Um,
see.
and transition means it does mean different things to different people. Again, you go idea, you got a project in place, you kind of create a prototype of it, and then what do you do with it? Who's going to take it on as their own to use it, to operate it, to maintain it, to continue to invest in it downstream? And again, as we discovered in our discovery, that transition, even with that introduction, has a lot of subtle differences and definitions within it.
Okay. That's super helpful. And in translating that into, let's say, the commercial world, what's coming to mind would be, for example, for a while, I ran the innovation labs at Lowe's, the home improvement retailer. And, we would come up with a variety of new technologies like AR, VR, or new aspects of the retail store that would go through various phases of concept testing, kind of a pilot rollout, and then something that's going to roll out to, hundreds of stores. Or I can think of the pipeline for, drug development in pharmaceuticals or in consumer packaged goods where they're going through testing of a new food or a cleaning product or anything like that. It's essentially this pipeline, if you will, or conveyor belt of, concept, prototype, pilot, maybe small scale, and eventually transition into what some would say a production environment or a live environment or something like that. Are those fair examples, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
Okay.
simply taking, it's really easy to get something to a prototype with a small amount of money. Taking it from prototype to production is really difficult in large government organizations.
Okay. So obviously, BMNT being 10 years old, you've had lots of opportunities to, develop new services, connect with your clients. What were some of the unique challenges or opportunities in this instance that had you thinking, hey, the Reveal AI tool or product may help us accelerate or benefit in some way compared to the traditional ways that you've done essentially client research on new concepts?
Yeah, so whether it's human or machine learning, you're really dealing with a really large community that on some level becomes an echo chamber of sorts. It's not really helpful on the surface to know, say, what percentage of people in that large community are dissatisfied with something, in this case, transition.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows it's a problem. At such a high level of abstraction, it's almost useless for us to figure out, going back to what I said earlier about how to be additive, how to deliver some unique value to try to resolve the problem. So reaching a diverse and distributed customer segment is really hard. The United States is the champion of democracy, so we have servicemen and women stationed all over the world in myriad organizations. As an example, we used the Reveal technology in the past to understand a community of a specific type of analyst. And we engaged hundreds of different people in a matter of weeks who were distributed across 40, 45 different organizations and distributed across 3 or 4 different countries and time zones. That's, you can't do that with just humans effectively, efficiently, right? So we try to, when we do customer discovery, whether it's human or machine, it's of course not going to be empirical, but what we'd like to get is as close to sort of like a mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive kind of understanding before generating some hypotheses and ultimately building kind of an early version of a solution. For us, it'd be a new service offering. And then going to test that with some real users. And the Reveal technology allows us to do that much more effectively, much more efficiently.
And when it comes to, more effectively, more efficiently, tell us a little bit more about, what aspects you found, because you were really the practitioner here. You were the person who was partnering with us to come up with the questions that were going to go into the machine-driven interview. You were the person that was looking at the product's application analysis application that has everything from machine-generated insights and labels for clusters to individual responses. So maybe walk us through a little bit how, in particular on the back end of the project, how you were able to get what you needed out of I guess the raw data that came in from all these different interviews.
Yeah, so all these different interviews we did were incredibly helpful because they were conversational. That kind of comes with the territory when you're doing a human interview. It doesn't always come with the territory when you're using a digital tool. And I think what we've discovered in the last few years of doing customer discovery in this way and developing our services, transformation of sorts requires 2 simple things: meaningful engagement, which the Reveal technology enables us to do at scale, and effective use of digital tools. So we've explored other survey technology. People are surveyed to death. survey technology that has AI baked into it generates those conversations. Subjects can say what they feel. They're not constrained by multiple choice. If nothing else, it's cathartic for them. They feel heard.
Mhm.
And as a result, the data we get is novel. It's like you're talking to a human, right? You can appreciate, and then the reveal analysis enables me to organize the data in different ways and look at it in different ways. But what I'm really getting from it, and this is what we got from the recent campaign leading up to an event we did, was a deeper understanding for the language or vocabulary or dialect that a community was using about the topic, in this case, transition. So we can use that to, right, if you're speaking the same language as somebody, the same vocabulary as somebody, you can establish trust faster. Like for government folks, it's when you use government language, their acronyms, their verbs, their jargon, they start to trust you a little bit more. So in our case, knowing that enabled us to create an event that was sort of like a safe space for them. The second was it enabled us to shape an agenda for the event, knowing what this community wanted to talk about and what would increase energy in the room, right? And this is related to the third thing that the data gave us, which an understanding of kind of the triggers and the emotions within the topic. It's an indication of the friction that's going on in a community and in relation to a topic. It's usually, in our experience, that those sort of healthy disagreements or frictions is actually an indication that what we're talking about might be a symptom of a problem, not the problem itself. And that was actually the big learning from the campaign. It's kind of like when you're homesick with like a head cold, you're not complaining about what's biologically going on in your body, you're complaining about the headache or that your nose is stuffy or running. You're complaining about symptoms. And so that friction and emotion we discovered using Reveal at scale helps us to find the real problem, the root cause, which in the case of this event, we sort of figured out before the event even started, which was, so we were ahead of the game.
I got it. So just to like dig in one or two clicks down, what I understood was the nature of the open-ended interviews that the Reveal product was driving with these individuals allowed them to share in their own words, in their own language. And what you were able to pick up from that were patterns and trends at a group level or a subgroup level, and also identify particular phrases, language, acronyms, what have you, that again were substantially being used by this community. That's obviously going to help as you tailor any sort of service for these clients. And it also had kind of a double benefit because it fed right into the design and the input of this event, which obviously some of them were going to attend as well as their colleagues. And it sounds like it really enabled the event to have a higher level of value, but also at that trust level that wouldn't have been possible without the kind of open-endedness of the Reveal product in the interviews.
Yeah, I think because a lot of the attendees for the event itself already engaged with Reveal on the topic, they kind of knew what they were getting into, and it increased the likelihood they were going to register. It increased the likelihood they were going to attend. Again, it was establishing that trust with them at scale, right? Because I could have, in theory, spent all my time talking to every attendee that's going to show up, but then what else am I not doing? There's an opportunity cost there. And the ability to very quickly establish that trust through Reveal freed me up to make sure, okay, if the Reveal campaign goes well, people are showing up, they're excited, they know what they're getting into, that I've also spent the time to make sure the event sort of catches that excitement well, is facilitated well, and some of the other logistical or administrative things to make an event be successful. But the time saved prior to the event, the depth of these AI-driven conversations is a significant value, again, to a small business trying to plan an event and service our existing clients and find new ones and try to figure out if there's a service offering to design coming out of this event that really serves these people well and in a different way. Reveal helps significantly ahead of time.
And it also sounds like, you've mentioned a few times the words engagement, connection, makes them feel heard. I have to just imagine, assume, or hope that for, BMNT and BMNT's brand as such an innovator, that there's a little bit of a positive affinity here, because you're using new technology, yet you're using it, and given the buzz around AI and so on and so forth, you're using it though in a way that's very human centric in terms of the listening and the engagement, at least based on the feedback that some of the people were giving you, I would assume.
Yeah, we've been doing that for years, just at a human to human, right? Which doesn't scale. And we've been doing that largely because, like, you can call it a number of things: human-centered design thinking. All those are important and significant methodologies. But at a basic level, you're just spending time with customers, trying to understand them at a deeper level. And studies have shown companies that do that increase revenue, increase shareholder value a lot faster than the alternative, right? It's again, simply building trust and breaking new ground with a customer segment. And AI is just an extension of how we've done that at a human level. And now we can do it at such a significant scale without losing that connection, without losing the qualitative benefits both to us and to the subject of the reveal interview. They're still getting the feels like they would if they're part of, say, a focus group, a small focus group, or they're part of a one-on-one interview. They're still getting a lot of that. It doesn't replace it. But if you're trying to get a vector check, if you will, to use a military term, you can talk to hundreds of people, thousands of people. It's kind of infinite. Within a community, you kind of want to figure out where hypothetically you can deliver that unique value and then go deeper. Based on the trust you've established.
Brian, this has been incredibly helpful. It's a wonderful summary of some of the things that you and I have talked about and you shared with our team as you've gone through this campaign, and kind of summarized here in the last 25 minutes. So thank you very much for being one of our customers. Thank you for helping us to improve the product with your feedback. And thank you for taking your time to share, your journey here, and what you learned, what the organization learned, and how you were able to serve your clients on this topic of transition. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been enjoyable talking about the product, of course, using it, being guided by the Reveal team to use it better. We've enjoyed it every step of the way.